Today, we're going to talk about the top news story. Yes, that's right. There is news in the manosphere, and this one is just delicious as this woman actually got convicted for taking money away from men that she met on a dating app. That I guarantee you is just going to be delicious, as I promised. Then we're going to talk about the red flag of the week. Can you guess what it is? We're going to hear from this let's say lovely lady and talk about her video that she published recently in response to a trend that's been going around as women are starting to regret their tattoos. Then we're going to talk about this dating profile. I will feature one dating profile every day, but this one probably takes the cake for the entire week because it has every single possible red flag that you can just ask for in a dating profile. And I'm going only through dating profiles in America. As a matter of fact, I'm going to Sacramento, where I'm from, so I know a little bit more about that area. And of course, we're going to talk, and this is another daily segment that I want to do about the comment of the week. And this one is I get so much hate, so many hate comments, and it is delicious. So we're going to talk about that as well. All right, now let's talk about the top story, which is this lovely lady that was sentenced to 2 years in the UK for, and I kid you not, taking money away from vulnerable men on dating apps. Now, you're probably asking, wait a second, if it's illegal and you can go to jail for taking money and tricking men on dating apps as a woman, wouldn't the majority of modern women be in jail? Yes. But then again, then who would be cheating on their husbands at the Coldplay concert? See, there's always a balance in life. But let's dive into the story because it is absolutely delicious. So, this lady, and her name is, and I kid you not, this is Miss Gray. She's 37 years old, and all of her 50 shades are pretty shady because she has employed one of the oldest tricks in the book, at least here in the book in Southeast Asia, where I live. And again, a lot of this is, of course, on men. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But so, by the way, BBC had to publish another story. Let me show you that this is the follow-up story a few days later. And they interviewed a guy one of the guys who she took the money from. And I think she got more than 11,000 British pounds out of this dude. And the story has actually a few interesting moments because let me see this highlighted text. It says, "I'm such an idiot. I'm sorry. I feel really bad now." Now, when I saw that quote, I thought it came from one of the guys, but actually it's a quote from her. Now, I really do think it's the guys who should feel bad. And like I said, we're going to talk about them in just a second because, there's got to be some responsibility, right, on men as well, because, these are not a very complicated, mental wrestling that she pulled off on this man. And I'm sure there were more than three. I'm sure she started with a bunch, but this is what happened. She posted a profile on a dating app. Now, obviously, I'm pointing in the wrong direction. Obviously, this was not her profile picture. This is her coming out of the courthouse for the sentencing, and she picked a picture of some pretty girl, and a bunch of dudes swiped right on that, and she started talking to them, which is no perfectly normal. But as she was talking to these guys, some of them started to invite her out, and she would agree to these dates, but then last second she would cancel because something happened, and these guys said, okay, we'll wait a little bit longer. And as they sort of this whole thing progressed, the guys started to kind of emotionally attach themselves because she's pretty good apparently at being nice to these men, which again is that's a skill nowadays, you have to admit. But this is the lesson where a lot of men need to learn. If you're meeting a girl, I don't care if you met her on dating app or just got a phone number at the coffee shop. If a girl is not available to meet you for a cup of coffee, lunch date, I don't care, but just a cup of coffee within 72 hours. There are many of murders who have been solved in less than that. you need to move on. She's just not that interested in you in particular or in dating in general. There are many other priorities, but a girl who sees a man who could be a potential boyfriend and maybe even husband and goes like, yeah, I'm too busy, I'm washing my hair. You need to move on. Now, these guys didn't, and they obviously paid the price in more ways than one. And at the very least, the price that you're going to pay is your wasted time. Now, after that, as their kind of emotional relationship progressed, she started asking for money, 30 pounds here, 30 pounds there for gas and so forth and so forth. And these guys started giving it to her. Now, obviously, there's probably 20 or 30 of them at that point left who were willing to put up with that crap. And then most of them probably left as soon as she asked for money. But three didn't. And this is another lesson that all men need to learn. Never, ever, ever, ever give money to a woman as far as just handing cash. Or, I mean, unless you're already in a committed relationship, you're living together as a family, it's a whole different story. But your finances should be merged at that time. But if you are a dude who's handing over money, this is not the money for the drinks or the dinners or experiences that you're having together where you're paying to the service provider. If you're paying directly to a woman, well, she is then a service provider, and there is a word for that, and it kind of escapes me, but it rhymes with a prostitute. I'm sure it'll come back to me. So this is where these guys have gone horribly, horribly wrong. And if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I go over a lot of these schemes that happen here in Southeast Asia with guys who either come here or actually stay there in Europe and America and end up losing a lot of money, more than these guys. These guys lost only several thousand American dollars or so. Now, that's how she did it. Now, I am surprised that she's got caught and she even went to jail. Now, I do have to say that this 2-year sentence was a suspended sentence. And if you're not familiar with the UK law, it's kind of like probation in America, where you don't actually go to jail. It just goes on your record and you can't commit any more crime or whatever. You have to do community service, which I don't know what that would be. you know, uh, I don't know, paying for your own dinners for a while. That would be interesting to know what the conditions are. And I would be interested to know why her. I mean, you can easily argue that the majority of women, Western women on dating apps, and even here in the Southeast Asia, are women who are trying to take money from men one way or another. And it's not a scam. Now, this is where you're probably going to be surprised, because I don't agree that this is scam. You know what I mean? She asked money for money. She lied about it. People lie all the time, especially women lie all the time too on dating apps. And the guys just voluntarily gave it to him. She did not sign any contracts. She just basically said, "Listen, dude, you want to continue talking to me? I just need a little bit more money." Of course, then it got into, like, I think her grandma was sick or whatever. Here in Thailand, we call it the buffalo, whatever. And these guys continued giving and giving more money without ever meeting this girl. So the responsibility, and you guys probably know this is the theme of my channel, is that as disgusting of a behavior of the modern women is nowadays, the responsibility lies on men who allow that behavior. What you permit, you promote. So that's how this story goes. And tomorrow we will visit another I'm actually surprised how many actual news stories that there are out there for men's rights and dating and so forth. So we'll be going over a few of them. But first, let me take a quick comment. It says, let's say that a white Western guy who learned Thai and is fit goes to Thailand and opens Thai Friendly or Thai Cupid. These are local dating apps. I'm actually on Thai Friendly. How many matches can he expect per day? What percentage of those would be bad matches? On a first day, you can expect dozens and even hundreds of matches. But of course, with time, it will subside. How many of them are bad matches? Now, what do you mean? There will be a match with a girl who's going after foreigner money. There will be probably 20 to 30% of those. And usually these are pretty girls. These are pretty girls who figure out they're pretty and they can take money from foreigners, and they do. Plenty of them. Then there will be just matches that are not good fit in terms of looks or age or location. Like some girls from some province will hit you up. Now, some guys don't mind. I don't do long distance relationship. I don't recommend that people do long distance relationships. So in my ad, it's pretty clear that I live in Bangkok and I'm only interested in women who live in Bangkok or within like a reasonable like driving distance, because they're the ones who are going to have to cover that distance. I don't go more than 2 minutes away from my home on dates. That's just the way it is. Okay, so let's get to the next segment, and we're going to call it Red Flag of the Week. And the reason I call it that, because every week I'm going to feature on Mondays um, a red flag in women that I believe is pretty obvious. And we're going to pick a video of a woman essentially waving that red flag in our face. Now, in this case, and you're probably not surprised if you're watching my channel for a while, or really any red pill manosphere content, it is the tattoos. Now, the reason I wanted to address this this week is because there's a trend that's going on of women who are actually coming out, usually older women, and telling the younger women that they regret their tattoos, which is duh, right? And unfortunately, a lot of these tattoos are permanent mistakes that are going to be with you probably for the rest of your life, unless there's some magic pill, that you can take and all tattoos will disappear. I know a couple of girls who just realized that one of them is actually 20 years old only, and she had a couple of tattoos that she's removing. It's painful, it's expensive, and it looks like shit because they're just kind of fading away weirdly. It just looks like a really bad birthmark. And they go away for about a year. It takes about a year. So there's a trend that when women say, like, please don't do that, this is just damages your career, choices in men, the way how people look at you, if you're a mother, now you're a bad example, all of that stuff. And all of those are true. We've been saying this for many, many, many years now, except for, of course, women don't listen when it comes to advice, at least on dating. They take advice from other women, usually other single women, which is even worse. But let's go over this video, because this lady actually doubling down on her tattoos as a response to the trend of women saying, please don't do it. So let's see what she has to say, and I'm going to have some comments as well. So let's get going.
I keep seeing this take that tattoos make you look trashy or poorer, and I'm like, babes.
Yeah, they do make you look trashy and poor, but they also make you look undateable. Number one reason, of course, that means that you don't have a strong father figure in your life. You also don't care about your health, because tattoos, this is a scientific fact, don't shoot the messenger, are bad for your health in many different ways, sometimes even causing cancer or interfering with mammograms, which in your case probably is going to be a problem. Of course, it's showcasing that you make bad permanent decisions forever and ever and ever. And of course, you a lot of times, look like a hoe. But I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
Be so for real. Tattoos aren't cheap. This isn't giving I can't afford rent. It's giving I willingly dropped $600 to get stabbed for 4 hours straight.
This is really weird, because I never thought of tattoos as a representation of your wealth. The fact that you found $600 somewhere at some point, and you thought the best way to spend would be to put one of those things on you, is really not a flex.
But y'all are acting like I walked into an alley and was like, sir, please ruin me for $20.
Well, the funny thing is that you went to the alley and then they made a left turn and then had somebody ruin you for $600. As a matter of fact, you said the quiet part out loud. You still got ruined. You absolutely got ruined. You just ended up spending 600 in addition to making an already bad decision.
Booked 6 months in advance. I made a deposit. This was a luxury experience.
This might have been a luxury experience, but the outcome is quite trashy. And I don't even understand this flex that, look, my tattoo artist had a wait list. I mean, it's kind of like saying, oh, I bought my heroin from a drug dealer that has a 6-month waiting list. It's still heroin, right?
Tattoos don't make you look broke. If anything, it's a flex. Oh, like your Louis Vuitton bag? That's cute. My tattoo is hand-drawn by someone who has a 2-year wait list. But stay mad. I'll be over here collecting permanent accessories.
I don't think she understands what accessories are. Accessories are meant to be interchangeable. That's where the accessories, and they usually follow a trend. Tattoos are the opposite of that. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons you are making bad decisions with having tattoos is because tattoos are trendy. As a matter of fact, the type of tattoos and where you put them. Remember, it was like the tramp stamp was trendy, and then and trends change all the time. So the fact that you decided to put an accessory on you that's not changeable only once again speaks for your decision making process.
While we're at it, let's talk about jobs not wanting to hire people with tattoos. Like, what year is it?
Well, it's 2025, and there are plenty of people who wouldn't hire people with tattoos. As a matter of fact, if you think of any respectable profession out there, doctors, college professors, corporate executives, research scientists, lawyers, 99.9% of them don't have tattoos, and a lot of them are hesitant to hire one in the equal role. Now, if you want to be a janitor there, receptionist, nobody really cares anymore because that's not exactly a great job. But so far in 2025, it's still a thing because old farts like me still run this world.
I have visible tattoos, and that tells you what exactly? Because to me, it says that I could save money, commit, show up on time, and sit through literal hours of pain without complaining. You think I can't handle a Monday morning meeting?
No, you can't. As a matter of fact, I don't think you've ever been to a Monday morning meeting because you actually have to bring your brains and skills and education to those, unlike to a tattoo parlor appointment. Having to sit through, what do you call those?
I survived a stomach tattoo.
Yeah. Surviving a stomach tattoo doesn't even qualify you to be on a fryer at McDonald's.
Anyways, I just want y'all to know that I think you look so beautiful with all the art on your body. And
Not art. This is not art. Most tattoos, and specifically all of your tattoos, look like a drunk 5-year old tried to surprise his parents after getting a set of markers for Christmas. And, when they fade with time, then it just looks like somebody just spilled something on your arm or chest, or in your case, all over the case. A dirty paint bukkake, if you will.
I think you'd look even hotter if you got more, but that's just my opinion. I love my tatty baddies. I think they're the coolest people ever. These stereotypes are so outdated, and honestly, they're getting old. And you may think, Molly, no one's saying that anymore. Take a scroll through my comment section for 1 second. It's still being said.
Right. It's still being said. So a lot of people are saying that, Molly, and I've already named most of those professions who are saying it. But there are three categories of people who say that. One is future good husbands and fathers. Two, of course, executives who hire for good jobs, and the third one is good father figures. And I'm assuming you've never met people in any of those three categories, and you may never will.
Unfortunately. And if I was a CEO, I would only hire people with tattoos.
But you're not a CEO. As a matter of fact, that's probably a reason why not, because you just don't have a lot of skills. And by the way, speaking of your skills, what's in your hand is this little receiver that does have a built in microphone, but that's not how you use it. I'm sure nobody taught you during your tattoo appointments, but you actually plug in the microphone in it like this, and then the actual clip on mic is at the end right here, and this goes into your pocket as a receiver. You look silly with this damn thing in your hands, just like your tattoos. Now, I got to tell you that there's still plenty of videos like this where women are doubling down on their tattoos and saying how amazing it is, and all this old farts are saying, but it is delicious that there is a trend that's going on right now where women are telling other women to stop doing that, because at the end of the day, picking a good husband, picking a good job, and many other things, just how people judge people with tattoos, especially when, again, you're like bukkake in them, that's not a good thing. All right. Another comment from the live chat: is the sim father just as bad for the teaching gender roles for the children as the lack of father? Well, yes, but it's still better to have a father figure just at least you have some model of relationship, but it's really almost a tie, right? Because the sim fathers will teach you exactly the same thing as single mothers would, um, uh, on their own. So at the end of the day, when you do see a woman with tattoos and she does have a father in her life, and as a matter of fact, the father might be still with the mother, the fact is the father is a simp. Because at the end of the day, no strong man who is a father would want his precious little girl inked up like a hoe, right? And absolutely, fathers let their daughters know that. And when daughters do it anyway, that shows disrespect for your father's wishes and disrespect to the fact that your father knows best and knows what's good for you just as a child, and teaching you how to live life, that's basically for your advantage rather than disadvantage in this case. All right, let's move on. So the next segment that I wanted to do, and I actually want to do this segment daily because there are plenty of these here, and we're going to talk about dating profiles. I wanted to do this for a long time, and I've done a few videos about this, but there are plenty of dating profiles out there where men swipe right on the profiles while they never, ever, ever, ever should have. So we're going to do the dating profile of the day, and we're going to start with this lovely lady because her profile, as I mentioned in the beginning, has pretty much everything that's wrong with dating profiles and has every single possible red flag. And yet, a lot of men still don't notice. Now, let's go over her pictures. By the way, her name is S with an with apostrophe, and the ass we see right away in your face. And listen, if you're just trying to hook up, whatever. This is not even a conversation about that. Though, if you're gonna swipe right on this girl, you know how many other dudes are gonna swipe right on this girl just trying to hook up with her. And the thing is, she's not going to hook up with a lot of guys or even any, because as you will see in a second, she's looking for a long-term relationship. But let's just review the pictures. Okay, so now obviously when someone's wearing booty shorts and shoving their ass in your face, that's not a good sign. Is this the wife? Do you see this as a future wife? Hmm. All right, now the next picture is actually quite wholesome and very nice. She is not even showing that much of a cleavage. I would use this picture as a profile picture if I were her. Um, Boom. Now we go back again to a picture where again it is actually a naked ass in your face. And I wouldn't even want a girl to dress like this, even on the beach at the pool. A girl who allows men around her see her essentially naked is not your future wife. And again, no matter how nice the booty is, you just ask yourself, how many more men are going after this booty? How many of them are simps? The answer is usually 99%. And do you think you're going to out simp, and which means outspend them to get that? But again, she's not even looking for a hookup. Her next picture, actually, you know what? I would use this one as a profile picture. This is actually a very nice picture of her, and she looks very wholesome here. But it is hidden. What is it? Picture number 4 or 5. The other pictures are not that bad. If you look at this one and this one, uh, yeah, this one's in the middle. Oh, once again, the ass in your face. Though, a picture in a gym is not bad. I prefer my women to be fit, so the fact that they go to the gym, and this picture means she does go to the gym, takes care of her body, is good. But what she's wearing to the gym is not. And this one is a hilarious one because again, this tells you what, that if she's taking a picture in front of a fancy car, which by the way is not even hers or even her friends. Like if it was at least on someone's driveway, I would be like, all right. But it looks like this is a Home Depot parking lot. She just found a nice car she likes and it took a picture with it. As a matter of fact, I don't know why, but that car has that little uh um here. See that yellow thing that's holding up this car for some reason? I don't know why fancy car would do that, but that's a whole different story. Yeah. So this usually means that she's attracted to money, and this is a whole story. So now we're back to her picture. Now, listen. Pictures are pictures, and yes, a lot of times you want to just swipe right to see if a girl even connects with you, and then start reading the profile. But you do need to read the profile if she ends up matching with you. And this is where things go really sour. First of all, she's in her 30s, as you can see. She lives in Santa Clara, California. Now, actually, I lived in Santa Clara, California for a long time, about 10 years on and off. It was one of the safest cities in America, not just California, in America. So I really loved it. And Santa Clara Police Department have always been very nice because the crime was low and they were able to do a lot of nice community things for us, and they weren't jerks. I don't know how things are now, but I've always enjoyed living in Santa Clara, California. Now she says curvy. Usually that means fat, but in this case, I got to give it to her. She is curvy. Um, Now this is her Instagram, which is again a bit of a red flag, but she's not flashing it, so I'll allow that. Um, let's see. There was another thing. Okay, yeah, no. So here we come to a number one red flag. Again, if you're just trying to hook up, doesn't matter, but obviously no one would ever recommend to date a single mother. She has kids. I made plenty of videos, and you see plenty of videos out there why you should not date a single mother. As Myron says, recreational use only. All right, now let's get to, and by the way, so she is looking for long-term dating right here. So it's unlikely that that booty is going to be yours just for a quick hookup. Now, let's look at her profile. Okay, she said, send me an intro. That means she's not paying for her account, whatever. She's Dominican. That's fine. Okay. Now, I had to look this up, but this is, again, another big red flag. Means stay at home mom. Now, she is single, and yet this tells you that she's unemployed, right? So guess who you're going to be if you're even going to try to date her. Her next sponsor, her next essentially unofficial unemployment check. And yet, look, she has a degree, right? I had to look this one up. I'm not going to lie, but and because this is early childhood development degree. Fine. Again, only makes her even more lazy. Divorced, shared custody. All right. Shared custody, that means her ex-boyfriends and husbands are still in the picture. And the reason I'm saying plural is because the next line here, it says she has one kid, a boy, a teenager, and another one who is a girl, I guess, is 6 years old. Now, let's say a teenager is 15 years old. The other one is 6 years old. Do you want to bet that these are from two different daddies? I would bet on it anytime, any day. So now you're dealing not with one, but probably two baby daddies. Do you want to be in that mix? Usually no, because if you scroll all the way to the bottom, by the way, it looks like one of them is causing drama because, and she's not even ashamed to admit it, she said, be aware of fake profiles with my photos. Dude needs to heal. So obviously, her previous men are not exactly winners, where they're creating profiles with her fake pictures. It's a mess, and it looks like she attracts the mess. Now, let's see what she is looking for. Now, funny enough, she's looking for a high quality man who is an old school masculinity, which is a bit refreshing. Let's give her some credit here, because a lot of women don't even know that that's what they should be looking for. Okay. She says family oriented. That's great. Kid friendly. Well, that just means that you're going to have to be nice to her kids and essentially, you know, dish out some money and time and be never number one in her life. Generous. Now, remember that picture with that, what was it, Range Rover? I already told you that she's looking for someone with some cash to spend on her and her kids who are not yours. Leader, provider, gentleman. This is not a bad list. If you look at generous as, hey, a good provider, not necessarily for Louis Vuitton purses, and kid friendly, meaning someone who wants kids, this is not a bad list of what a good, man is. Now, does she deserve one? I'll let you all answer that question while I'm scrolling. Now, here's another big red flag with which a lot of dudes miss, and women say this in many different ways, but she says, fine dining first date in Sacramento. Now, I've lived in Sacramento for a while. It is not a rich city. It's a government city. Half of the people live off of the government over there, and the other half is not really that rich. So, and there's not that many fine dining experiences. So she is saying that if you want to take out a single mother with multiple baby daddies who shoves her ass and shows off her ass to whoever wants to see it, even just to on one date, just to talk, you better no coffee is not going to do, and a regular dinner is not going to do. She wants fine dining. That means most likely $50 to $100 dinner just to meet her. And by the way, if you scroll a little bit further, she says, of course, I'm talking to others. It's a dating app. Now, she is technically right, but what it also means that she's probably banging a couple of guys. So don't be jealous of that. But you, my friend, are going to have to pay for an expensive dinner just to talk to her. And once she leaves, she'll go and show that ass to some other dude. Be very careful with that. The first date should only be on a budget of $10, which means just a cup of coffee or a drink like a beer or maybe a glass of wine, not at a fancy place, just on a regular place. Most of the time, a coffee shop. And that coffee shop better be nearby your place, not her place, not in the middle, your place. So now there's other things. That's one send you pictures, one come to you. Okay, well, I'm assuming she means don't come to your place. But generally speaking, she would need to come to your neighborhood to meet you, because do not drive to meet women for dates. They need to come to you. If not, then you need to move on, which brings us to the next part of her profile. It says, make your moves or move out. You know where I would stand on that. And here's another one. And by the way, again, she's saying a lot of quiet things out loud here, but a lot of women have this attitude because, usually back in the day, we used to look for positive qualities in a person, and then try to sort of be flexible with some of the negative qualities, because everyone's got negative qualities. And if they're deal breakers, then, yes. But nowadays, as she points out loud here, women look for the reasons not to date you, right? And even one thing can trigger them. If you're not 100% perfect man for this woman with multiple baby daddies in her 30s, with her naked ass on the internet, if you even do one little thing that she doesn't like, you're gone. You're gone. Now, why that is, it's of course there was another 100 Sims who are ready to take on this project and shower her with money for kids, put up with her access, put up with her attitude, while everybody else is enjoying her naked ass on social media. Until men change, until there are plenty of guys who are ready to line up for a girl like that, nobody really has a chance to even right the ship. So this is as classic of a modern woman dating profile is. I don't know if I'll be able to find these like on daily basis. And just so we're clear, even just one thing here, even if one of those red flags that I just read off of that profile, including these pictures, including this picture, it's already a deal breaker. You don't have to once you saw this picture, that's it. You swipe right or left, no matter what. Again, unless you try to hook up, but even then, it's a long shot and a lot of trouble and probably money. But if you're looking for a good girl, this picture should automatically have you swipe left. Period. All right. Let's see. I'll take another quick comment from the live chat. Even if you were a simp and swiped on her, she will still bang chat. That's exactly what I'm saying. You're absolutely correct. It's, even if you're just trying to get in her pants, trust me, there will be higher bidders than you, where you would just have to outbid everybody with your time, attention, money, and all that stuff. Where at this point, it's just not worth it. You might as well get a sugar baby and save your time and money, or whatever, however you want to financially arrange your your time and your finances. So, all right, now let's move on to the last segment here, which I actually am going to enjoy greatly, which is the comment of the week. I get a lot of comments on, for some reason, the Red Note. It's like an app that a lot of people jumped to from TikTok, but a lot of people laugh, but I'm still on it because I'm here in Southeast Asia. It's still pretty popular. But this one actually comes from TikTok, and this is not even on my video. This is on my one of my comments, and this is just the classics. Just for the context, because you will never guess what she is replying to, because I mean, Western women are just really, really good at gaslighting, right? Because they never really have any reasonable answers or rebuttals to anything that I say, or strong men on social media say. They usually resort to personal attacks, so you're no longer talking about the topics at which they're losing. In this case, just so you know, I commented on one of the videos with the girls with tattoos doubling down. Now, I looked at her profile. I usually curious to see who's commenting like this, and here she is. She doesn't post anything on social media at all. She just talks shit in the comment section, which she has a right to. But of course, even this one picture, her profile picture, already revealed that she has a nose ring and at least one tattoo, which I wasn't really that surprised by, because she is trying to defend another girl with tattoos, who's trying to defend her tattoos. But anyway, let's get to the comment. She says, "Can I just ask, so politely, who hurt you? The issue here is that you have these beliefs and believe them to be a fact. They're not. Go to therapy and look from within. Hope this helps." Now, it doesn't help, but what it does help actually is to showcase the gaslighting techniques, which modern women are just so good at. Now, I already mentioned to you that you couldn't even tell what she's replying to, because of course she wants to change the topic and personally attack the person, because that's the easiest way to avoid the actual problem that she obviously has. I already pointed out two problems based on just one tiny little picture. But the way they gaslight you is basically by making you think that something is wrong with you, right? Now, obviously, men like me just laugh it off, but there are a lot of men, and this is why she thinks this is going to work, who actually do get butthurt about it, right? Because they're like, "Oh, is something really wrong with me? I'm going to talk to my therapist." But in this case, she's saying, "Who hurt you?" Right? Like, you must be hurt. You must seek therapy because something's wrong with you, to have some self-esteem and self-respect and be able to speak up on your behalf and behalf of other men, right? There's got to be something wrong with you. But the funny part is, of course, as a lot of times in life happens, when someone's accusing you of something, usually that problem is with them. And the fact is, nobody hurt me. That's why I have this opinion that I would not date women with tattoos, which was, again, the topic of the conversation here. But I got to tell you, if you go into the comment section of any sort of men's rights or red pill creator, or even comment yourself on any of these topics, this will be most likely one of the most classic examples of how women will try to go after you. They will essentially try to point out that the problem is with you and somebody must have hurt you, right? It is it. But you gotta give it to them. They are so good at it. So this has been a very delicious comment of the week. I have another comment of the week. I have another profile of the day. Comment of the day, profile of the day tomorrow, and we're gonna do another weekly segment, which I'm forgetting what it was. But anyway, I think it's a Delulu of the week. We'll figure it out. And of course, there will be another top news story. I got to tell you, this has been kind of the first time when I realized that there are enough stories to talk about, men's rights and dating from the perspective of the of men and the manosphere. But there are a lot of things that are happening and making into the news. As a matter of fact, I was kind of scared that I may not be able to even cover all of the news stories in my live stream today. So don't forget to tune in tomorrow, and I will see you then. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmanproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your